Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Frame by Frame podcast.
Episode
Guys,
3.
what movie did we watch today?
We watched Inception
Oh, we did? Oh, yeah, we did.
Why?
because it's the third Nolan film.
No,
I don't
Well,
think-
it's not the. He only
And-
has
and-
3.
No, I don't know
was
if that's right. I think
It was
he
the
has-
third one and the one we were in the.
It's
order
the
we
Nolan
watched.
trilogy. They're all connected. You start off with the story
No.
of Tenet,
No.
and then they go out into space where they meet Matthew McConaughey, and then they have to go to get the 10 power rings
Wrong.
from
It starts with
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No. It starts with Inception.
The-
It starts with Inception. Then it's Tenet. Then
Power
it goes.
Rings?
Oh, and they have to collect the Dragon Balls.
Yeah, and then they play Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah, I think that's
No,
how
I
it-
think
I think that's how it
I think that's
goes.
in like the next trilogy.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what they've hinted at.
right.
You probably saw the trailer where in Dunkirk they go and hunt the 7 Yu-Gi-Oh cards in order to bring back the Chaos Emeralds. Anyway, Inception,
Anyway,
Wait,
number
hold on.
3 in the
so
trilogy.
is that the one where Pikachu kills Gandhi?
is that sacrilege to say?
I think so.
Inception, the third of the 3 Nolan films. Yeah, the 3.
Inception. The
Yeah,
third. The
okay,
third one.
so-
that
The
we
3
watched.
Batman movies.
Obviously, yes. The 3 of the mind-boggling Nolan films.
Yeah,
That's what we deemed them. So, we started with Tenet, then did Interstellar, then, we just closed it off with Inception. We'll break that down for everybody, I'll start with Cameron.
All right, cool.
So your rewatchability of Inception, just break that
Oh,
down.
perfect.
Like the
Perfect to
plot, the
ask me.
pacing, things like that. Like
Yeah.
what makes it rewatchable?
I'm so glad you asked me, Connor. I've watched this movie about 8 times now. Yeah. And I think this is 9. I don't honestly, I've lost track.
Okay.
I think about 3 years ago, maybe even more than that. I watched it for the first time and
Loved it ever since.
yeah.
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 Mhm.
I don't know. I just kept watching it. I can't tell you. Maybe it's because I don't like watching new things. I love this movie. I can't get over it. It's a similar effect with Tenet where I feel like I can get a little bit more from the movie every time I watch it.
For
Tenet more so is a bit more mind-boggling.
Yeah.
There's more incentive for me to watch that. But Inception, it's a movie I can just put on and enjoy.
And once you understand it, it's pretty fun. I would actually disagree. I love watching it. I do, but it's a drag. Sometimes I'm gonna cut.
I know what you're about to say. I'm going to agree with you right now.
It
So
was
before you
it
even
was
say
the it was the shortest movie
Yeah,
of the
yup,
3 we
yeah.
watched. But sitting there watching it, it felt the longest.
I guess
It
near
does.
the end, I think is where it started to drag. I'd say.
I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times. I do love the movie, so that's probably why it drags for me.
Mhm.
But it's just it is an action movie, but there's not that much action. So it kind of is just
Pretty
a
intense.
it's kind of just a drama at some points,
Mm.
and it's not bad. It's just slow.
I think my only quarrel with the rewatchability is that the third act of the movie is an hour and a half long, and the movie is 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
essentially, an hour and a half of this 2.5 hour movie is just the
The
third
same
act.
setup.
Half of
It's
the
the third
movie
act.
is them preparing for the mission,
Yeah.
Under
and then the
half.
other half
Yeah.
of the
And
movie
now
is the mission.
The third act is very complex, because they go into the dream and then they go into 3 different dreams.
I think
off
4
of that.
deep,
It's 4
technically.
total. Yeah.
4 dreams.
Because they go into limbo. Yeah.
They go into the
Yeah.
final limbo.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoiler. Yeah. Oh no, movie podcast. Anyway,
Um,
it's very complex and you have to make it that long to work because you have to spend the proper amount of time in each of these new locations. You can't just brush past them. But it's just like I said, the third act of the movie is just so long.
like the first 2 movies we've watched, it's a time commitment and a mind commitment, I
Yes.
guess you could say.
It's a
But
mind
it is
commitment.
it is a fun movie. It is fun.
It is out of the 3 we've watched, it is the easiest to keep up with, I would say.
And
Oh,
just
for
because
sure.
I say it's a little bit of a drag and it feels long, doesn't mean it's bad.
No.
It doesn't at all.
Mhm.
I'll still watch it. I'd watch it again.
It's an introduction into the idea of Christopher Nolan taking a scientific concept, saying, let's run with this.
Yeah.
And then making a movie out of it. And it's
For sure.
just
Yeah. It's
whole.
just the easiest to understand because it just talks about dreams. It doesn't talk about interdimensional space travel or going back in time,
or inverting an
within
object's
yeah,
entropy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You have to
it's-
have dreamt it.
Shut up. It's the easiest to understand, I think. I think that's just, and I think that also kind of ties into why it is honestly better to rewatch. You can understand it better, and it kind of
Mhm,
gives you more of a
mhm.
drive to be like, oh, I can just watch this movie, and
Yeah.
I know what's happening. I don't have to think.
So you've
Watching
seen
it
it
again.
before.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you're
yeah.
watching it again, you don't have to pay attention
right,
as much.
of course, yeah. Next, well, what in acting? What do you think about the acting, the actors, the chemistry, performances overall throughout the movie?
I think I'm definitely the least critical about acting. I think it's Aaron. You're probably the most critical about because
I was gonna be real critical here.
I'll leave you. I'll leave you
All
to
right.
it for a minute.
So okay, again, I know it sounds like I'm shitting on this movie, but I do love the movie, and
Mhm.
I do like it. It's
That's a
just
given.
I think the only good performance, in my opinion, like the best performance, the only standout performance, is Leonardo DiCaprio.
He does a very
Everyone
good job.
else just kind of reads their lines.
So they just read their lines.
I mean, they do a little bit of acting, but there's no like standout. There's nothing amazing. Like
Yeah.
we talked about Tenet and we talked about Interstellar. The acting in those movies compared to Inception is just
It
insane.
almost reminds me of because the movie is so long and there's so much to cover. It almost reminds me. This is going to be a really weird analogy, but the classes in Overwatch, like it is that level of character depth where it's every single one of them has their standout
They interact
features.
with each other.
Yeah,
And like,
exactly.
Like that's the
Tom
extent of it.
Tom Hardy is the kick your ass, sarcastic kind of character, and that's
Right.
really all you get about him. And you understand what he
Yeah.
does and how he contributes.
You only
Same thing
really
with
you
every
only
single
really-
character.
You crack that first layer of character development with
But
each
we
of the
don't-
characters.
we don't have
it-
time to
it
get any
doesn't go
farther.
further than that.
We have to
yeah.
further
And
the
that's-
story.
And that could be why I like Leonardo DiCaprio's Cobb the most, because
Yeah.
we go into him the most.
Exactly.
And
right.
that-
As we should.
And I'm not saying any of them do a bad job at acting.
No.
It's just I don't think they were given too much to play with.
no.
I think it's more just because they had time. They just didn't have the
Yeah,
time to
that's
cover it.
fair.
Like we're not worried about you in the movie. We're more worried about these characters. We know nothing about
The architect.
yeah her in the movie. We know practically nothing about her.
All we know is
character.
that she was a
All we
student
know
that
is
was a
what
good
what
architect,
she
yeah.
does.
She was just Michael Caine's student, and he recommended her to Cobb.
Yeah, and all she does is she's just very smart and she knows how to build
Right.
the maze.
Yeah. I don't know how to say her name. I don't know either.
I don't know how to say that.
Why
I don't
am I-
know how to pronounce that.
Oh, Ariadne. That's what it is.
Ariadne?
Ariadne, because it's
Okay.
French, I think.
Oh, like Ariana Grande.
I hate that.
No.
But yeah, there's not too much that we go into with these characters depth-wise, except for Leo's character, I'd say.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And
We
I
don't
will-
really need to.
I will say I think that is one of the reasons Inception was the first of these three movies.
Mhm.
Inception came first and then Interstellar and then he made Tenet.
Oh, like in really sort of, yeah.
I think
Yes.
that could be one of the reasons that I like the acting in the other two is he learned. I mean, they're longer movies, so we have more time to develop the characters,
There's also
learn about
less
the characters.
in those movies. To
and
go
there's less
into.
And he has said that he wants his next movie to always be better than the last one he's made.
Yes.
Like,
He-
this movie kind of has like an Ocean's like 8 feel, where you're kind of like you just have all these characters that have to work together, but you don't have to go too much into what like
Right.
they want. It's just about the
Yes.
story.
all we need
overall
to
and
know
what
about
they're
them is
doing.
what they contribute.
It's about the
Exactly.
heist it's about the heist that they're pulling off, which is like the mine heist of planting the idea in Cillian Murphy's brain. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Let's do cinematography next. So I guess just like some of the scenes in the movie, do they fit with the theme of the
It's
film? How does
definitely
it look?
Compared to the other two movies, cinematography is definitely the weaker part of this movie.
I would agree
say,
with that.
which is it is difficult because you're obviously dreaming, you're playing with a lot of strange concepts because he has to basically circumvent the fact that people can just disappear because it's a dream.
Right.
You have to explain.
They do a lot.
He does a
of-
very good job.
Yeah,
of
they
it.
do a lot of special things. I know near the end, Tom Hardy's character and Cillian Murphy's character are sitting on a beachside, and they do a wipe cut to switch the characters.
Oh, that was so good.
And
Right.
Where
Because he's sitting next to his uncle, and then it just switches over to Tom Hardy's character. Because
pans.
Tom Hardy's character earlier in the movie,
Oh, so good.
basically like dresses or like makes himself look like the uncle to kind
Yeah.
of get information out of Cillian
Excellent
Murphy's
clip.
character.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we could put
And
like, a
there
gif
are-
of that.
there's a lot of effects that I will say are really well done, but
Mhm.
it is also a movie that was made in 2010.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, okay.
they are, you can see where some of the effects. I know when you first get introduced to an architect in a dream world with Adeline, I think
Who?
Adeline and Cobb.
Yes.
Ariadne.
Yeah, Ariadne. My
Ariadne.
bad.
I just
I'm so
said it,
sorry.
bro.
Ariadne. Yeah, I was trying to remember how you said it.
I don't remember
Um,
anything about the French.
And they're walking on the flat ground, and then they step up onto the wall.
oh, that was
kind of.
so
And it
Yeah.
a little
it doesn't
weird.
look bad. It isn't.
aged.
Well,
Looks
it's aged. Yeah, right,
Yeah.
for sure.
Because you can tell it's sort of just like a weird.
It doesn't age poorly, but you
CGI,
look
yeah.
at it and it's like
It doesn't look like it. As
They
well as it
look
probably
like kind of
would
like
in
cut out. It's not.
2024.
It
It's not
looks-
shaded right.
it gives you
Yeah.
the same. I don't want to say ick. It gives you the same feeling that you get from just watching Marvel movie, like with their CGI. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas,
the
like,
newer Marvel
something's-
movies where the CGI
That's
is just
not right.
overdone
Just
and
looks a
not
little-
good.
yeah.
It makes your eye like cringe a little
Right.
You can tell it's just barely not.
bit.
It's not right.
Yeah.
Something about it's not right. Yeah.
Mhm.
But he's still
But it is really cool. The cinematography is still really good.
he's still excellent with his practical effects.
Yes.
Matt
Oh
Nolan.
yeah, all the
Yeah.
explosions that happen, and even when they're in the dream world, Cobb and Ariande, like when she's
Ariana Grande.
Shut up.
Wait, I didn't even say it right.
and she takes the city and bends it over the top of itself, and then she
Yeah.
also pulls the mirrors together and breaks them and makes the long tunnel.
I don't
Like,
think that
it's
was
just-
practical, my friend.
I'm not saying it was.
I'm kidding.
I'm just going into how cool those shots were.
In order to make Inception, Nolan had to design 2 sets of France.
Yes, and he flipped one on top of the other. No, I'm just saying that those scenes are
Destroyed
very well
France.
done.
Yes, I
Yes,
agree.
In order
yeah.
to make Inception, we destroyed France.
Anyway, next, we're going to go into the story of Inception. So, does the story flow well? Beginning, middle, end, start, rising action, falling action, all that stuff.
It does. It is very
Yeah.
interesting. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. But because we start off the movie, well, at the end, basically, because it cuts to that clip of
Nolan's special.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
that old
He does,
classic.
he does the
Nolan
same thing
special.
in Oppenheimer. So,
Yep.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
you mother.
Anyway, but I do think there is just an excellent progression of the story. It is a lot to follow, obviously, especially if you're watching it for the first time. But yeah, I think it works really well. I need someone to add to this. I'm kind of
You want me to add next, Aaron? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think so. Like, I think we kind of touched on this earlier, but of the Nolan movies, like this one has the easiest story to understand.
oh, definitely.
Which that's not a bad thing. Like this is honestly, I'm gonna say of the Nolan movies that we've watched. I'm not gonna say of the Nolan movies because
Yeah,
obviously he
right.
has other ones where the
Right.
story's easy to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
of the 3 that we've done so far, this one is the easiest story to understand because you're just touching on the idea of dreams, and everyone can kind of relate to that.
You're not hung out to dry. You know where you are.
Yeah, you're
Like
Yeah.
like in
you know what's
Tenet.
happening.
In Tenet, you're just being shown a new place, and you kind of have to pick up from context
Right.
clues. But like
But in
in
this movie,
Inception,
they multiple times they go. It's kind of like I said with kind of like a spy movie, like a heist movie. Like they talk
Mhm.
about the plan in detail
Yeah,
and then
for the
begin
know
to
what's gonna
execute the
happen.
plan.
Yeah,
You
and-
know you're
yeah.
along for the ride. You know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, of
Exactly.
course.
You're not just
Right.
blacking out and then popping up into a new place and like, oh,
Yeah.
we're here now. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the story does. I mean, it goes in order. It does what it's supposed to do as a story.
You don't have to think about it in order to catch up. You're always
Yeah.
like you kind of know
If
what's
you,
going
I
on.
would say, if you're watching and you're letting it happen,
Yeah.
you're gonna get it.
Don't
and-
take too long of a bathroom break though, because you may come back and you're just in the mountains
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
I
you don't
do
know.
agree with. I love the idea that it starts at the end. So it is the Nolan special.
It didn't need it. I don't think.
No,
but it's
but it
cool.
works really well, and it helps. It's kind of cool to know when you rewatch it too,
Mhm.
and sitting there at the end of the movie, seeing what you saw in the first scene is
like,
really, yeah,
That was there.
It's really
earlier.
awesome.
Yeah, it is a great introduction into the first scene though, where they're in essentially the same place.
right.
I think
for
it's
sure,
definitely
yes.
a cool, like their first heist, showing off to Sato.
The first one that we see,
Exactly.
right?
That we've witnessed. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So done with story. We'll go into score now. So I guess does the music complement just the movie in general? Does it fit with what's happening? Does it help the mood?
Mhm.
Set the
Yeah,
scene
yeah, yeah.
and all that stuff.
Very good at establishing what's going. Very good at establishing tension, I guess.
Powerful.
It's
Score is
dramatic.
Powerful.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, he does that very well in all of his films that we've seen. Yeah. Very good at bringing you along and being like, no, you're supposed to be nervous right now. You got to be nervous. Like,
Right.
especially trying to bring together 3 separate events and
And it
3
makes-
dreams, trying to
Yeah,
make it all
right.
work perfectly.
And they all
It makes those.
interconnect.
It makes those the climax.
Yeah.
Just
And
all that much better.
It really it makes you clench.
Yeah.
oh well, are they gonna do
sit
this?
at the edge of your seat.
Yeah,
You're ready for it. yeah.
Exactly. The perfect, perfect effect.
Yeah, and it's done by Hans Zimmer, who is famous for
The
doing.
goat.
Yeah, he's
The
done pretty
goat.
much all of Christopher Nolan's movies. They work pretty closely together,
100%.
and he does a very good job of using just these complex scores that just they're just so good in every movie he does. And I'll play a little bit of one right now, just to kind of give us and the viewers sort of a little bit of an example of what he's doing.
It's almost like mysterious too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
This is more of the lighter part.
But I love how it picks up because this is the main theme for it,
Right.
and it's so slow, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
And they use it. Nolan and the editors, of course, use the score and they put it into the movie really well.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and it fits because like multiple points throughout the movie, they have to get woken up with like the shocks or like
Kick.
the kick.
Kick.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
they
yeah,
refer to it
yeah.
as. And like it just does a good job of like blasting like a certain like portion of music at you, and it's kind of just like whoa, like like you get woken up kind of like they do in the movie.
And they also do have
Like
diegetic music.
Yeah, right.
With I don't know what the name of the song is, but they have
Oh,
they have a
Yeah.
I know it's a French singer. They have a song.
Very
Oh,
old.
that's the name of it.
Classic French song.
Oh,
Yes.
I hate
Many
the
of you
French.
might know it from the hit movie Madagascar 3 when
I
the
hated when you said that while we were watching it. From the hit movie
yeah.
Madagascar 3.
Yeah, Madagascar 3 Lost in Europe or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It
Probably.
was so famous. Why don't
Yeah,
you
and
remember the title?
the animal control lady, is doing the dancing, or she's like hunting down the animals. Whatever she's doing when that song plays.
It's not important.
All of you know it from that. All of you have seen that movie. Come on,
I
let's
don't
be
think I
honest.
know it from that, but we'll move
You
on.
know it from that. Okay. Any other like last thoughts, comments, anything about the movie that you guys want to talk about?
Last comments about the movie itself.
Yeah. I mean, we're
I'll
about
watch
done.
it. I'll watch it 10 more times. I love this movie.
One thing that I want to say is I think this movie did a really good job at making people think in a way of there's so many theories about the end with is Cobb in a dream? Is Cobb not in a dream? Is this scene in a dream? Is that scene? I love listening to people come up with theories about movies and stuff like that. And this movie fueled that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
This movie had a lot of theories coming out about it when
That's
it
what
came
I
out.
love
Yeah.
too with these kind of movies is Nolan doesn't have to create the theories. All he has to do is just make specific choices in the movie,
And then
and he
people
does.
do it for
He
him.
doesn't have to think about it. Yeah,
Exactly,
and that
yeah.
makes the movie more
Yep.
interesting. His
Yeah.
choice, his personal choice to leave the top spinning at the end when they
Yes.
were presumably in the real world, but they didn't. He didn't show it toppling. Oh,
Yes. And
oh!
for the listeners, the top is like so basically throughout the movie,
I hope you've
um
seen this by now.
each agent or whatever you want to call them, they have tokens to know totems. Yeah, totems to know whether they're in the dream world or in the real world. So for example, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character has like a way to die, so he always knows what number it's going to land on if it's real, and if it's in a dream, it won't land on that number.
Right, because the architect that built it doesn't know what their totem is, only they do.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. So and then like Leonardo DiCaprio's character has a top that he spins, or what a top, right?
It was a top,
Yeah. Then he spins it, and basically, if he's in a dream, it keeps spinning. If he's not in a dream, it topples, right? And at the end of the movie, like what they were talking about, he spins the top and then goes and sees his kids for the first time in a while.
and it cuts away before
And
it
it cuts
either
away
falls or
before it,
stops.
yeah, it
or
cuts away
whatever.
before the top topples. You do see it start to wobble, but it can wobble and then keep going. We've all seen a top spin before.
Right.
So that's where the theory stems is he in the dream world or is he in real life?
Right.
And
for
you
sure.
were talking earlier, Aaron, about like him wearing a ring,
Yes,
like another part of
Cobb,
the theory.
there's a lot of people have pointed out that Leonardo DiCaprio, Cobb, has a ring on in certain scenes and in other scenes he doesn't.
Right.
And I'm not 100% sure on the theory. I should have checked up on it before we watched the movie, but I think what it is in his dream, if he's in a dream, he has the ring on, because in the dream world, he
Mal
is
is still
still,
there, his wife.
his wife is still there.
Yeah.
Just call her Mal.
Is that her
Maul.
name?
Maul.
Well, whatever. This isn't
I
Star
said that.
Wars.
Mael.
This
Yeah.
isn't Star Wars.
Anyway.
But no, I love those theories, and they're always so fun, and they bring life to a movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, Cameron, I'll start with you. Out of 10, what do you think you're giving the movie?
Oh, I mean, this has been my favorite movie. It contests with Tenet. It's been my favorite movie for the past 3 years. I'll give it a 9, honestly.
Aaron?
Me,
It sits right there with Tenet.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
We
I
gotta
am.
review a bad movie. We've been giving out
We're going to
nines
soon,
and
don't worry.
yeah.
I have.
Should we take a break from Nolan films, or what do you think?
We'll figure it out after we're done.
Let's get
Yeah.
Connor's rating. All right.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, let's get my rating first. Quit interrupting me, sir.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I'll leave.
I think if I had to give it, out of 10, I'm probably with you around a 7, maybe 7.5. Just like the rewatchability, like there's nothing that like really makes you want to rewatch it because it's like you understand it right away. And like the point with the other two movies was like you don't always understand it, so like you want to rewatch it. They're bickering right now. I know you guys can't see it, but and then like we said with the acting earlier, it's just like they don't go too much into the characters. Obviously the story is supposed to kind of like make up for that lack of plot.
Sure.
But like you have to have some chemistry, and it just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot there most of the time.
Yeah.
But the story and score and cinematography are all great. Shit keeps falling in my basement. Sorry.
In our
But
high
yeah, I'm
production
with Aaron. I'm
studio.
going to 7. 7.
100%.
Yeah.
It's okay to
Okay.
be wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Okay, buddy.
Oh, we're about a box.
All right. I think that'll do it for this week's episode of Frame by Frame.
No sneak
I
peeks.
say this week, but
No
we do
sneak
them every other
peeks.
week.
No sneak
so
peeks
no
because
sneak. Well, we don't know what we're doing. We'll figure it out.
hey,
you
no,
know,
we know what we're doing. We
we'll-
know what we're doing.
As you wink at me. Yeah. Anyway.
Comments, visual wink or
Vis-
audible wink.
Audible wink. There you go. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll post it
Don't think that was
somewhere so
audible.
everyone can see.
I doubt that was audible.
I was winking in the mic. What do you mean? Of course they heard it.
Your wink is too quiet. Wink harsh.
It needs to be an audible wink.
You
Have
have to
winks.
have
Shut
it.
up. Shut up. Shut up. All right. All right. We hope to see you guys all in the next episode. See you next
Thank you
time.
very much for listening. See you guys.
It's a 9.